What up, guys? Bill here, man. And listen, I have made it one of my goals, no secret, in 2024 to really read more, right? To be focused on reading, to be focused on writing, taking notes, understanding, because I've been working on this personal journey of get better, self-improvement, level up, become a better person in and out, which I struggle with, right? I'm not perfect every day. I make mistakes. I'm working on my reactiveness. And, every show that I've watched or every podcast that I've listened to, a lot of them talk about books. And for a long time, I had a hard time relating to reading in books because I would sit down and try to get the whole thing in all at once and the words would start jumbling. I've got these old man bifocals now. And, so I decided this year in 2024, as I'm sitting down looking at my systems and processes of how do I want to get better? How do I want to improve? Where's my biggest learning weakness? And for me, it was easy. It's reading, right? I know how to read. I can read. I'm a proficient, pretty decent reader. And then taking that information and writing it and making sure that I understand it and rereading it and going through it and making sure that I am retaining the information so that I get better, so that I can level up. So I'm trying to do that in a few different ways, right? I've got a regular reader, right? A motivational, library of books that I use to get better. I've got some workbooks and things that I can fill in the blank, right? And then I've got this, right? This is the one that I talked about earlier this afternoon. I went over January 8th today, and now I'm doing January 9th. And there's 365 individual pages in here that talk about leadership. And so I'm going to go on that journey, right? 365 days of leadership, right? 13 years owning my own, or 8 years owning my own business, 13 years in that industry. Prior to that, 17 years in the Navy, growing in leadership and a Navy chief. Now owning multiple businesses, multiple priorities. It's a lot of fun. Leadership is something that I enjoy. And so now reading it, teaching it, sharing it, why not, right? If you learn something, great. If you don't learn something, well, you're not paying attention, right? This isn't all the end all. This is just me. This is me, right? And I'm putting it out there, and why not, right? Let's have some fun. So I'm going to talk today about January 9th. Well, January 9th. So January 9th talks about the power of focusing, right? How do you stay focused on your priorities? How do you keep concentration on where you're going? What are your goals? I say it every day. What are your goals? What are your priorities? As a leader, are you setting plans for your team? Are you setting plans? Are you having a production meeting every day? Are you talking about what needs to happen, what the processes are, what the accountability is if it doesn't? So for January 9th, and again, I'm going to read this. I'm going to talk about it. This is kind of going to be one of those 365-day lessons. I hope you follow along. But here we go. What does it take to have the focus required to be a truly effective leader? What does it take, right? That's a question. If you have that answer, what does it take to be a truly effective leader? Drop it in the comment section below and let's continue the discussion. I think it takes goals, processes, systems, and accountability. And accountability is your big key there, right? And when you're being accountable or you have systems in place to hold people accountable, then you know if the job gets done. Too often we lose concentration with a fire and forget mentality. And here's what I mean by that. You send it out into the world and you say, hey, little Johnny, it needs to get done. Hey, little, Timmy, it needs to get done. And you don't follow up. There's no accountability. There's no system backup. There's no process that lets you know if it's done. And if that doesn't get done, now you're delayed. Now you're running behind. Now people are trying to cut corners and people don't get recognition and people don't get training. And there's a lot of things that don't go into place without accountability. So what does it take to have the focus required to be a truly effective leader? The keys are priorities and concentration. So, what are your priorities? We have a monthly meeting in our store, and we go over, this is the priorities for the month. These are our goals. This is what's going on. Florida PGF, we have Zooms about once a quarter. Here's where we're going. Here's our upcoming events. How are the logistics looking for? What's the long-term weather forecast? Do we have awards? Do we have softballs? Is insurance taking? Like, all of these things, you have to have priorities, and you have to have concentration. You have to be focused on them. And it goes on to say that some people have priorities without concentration. It says, a leader who knows his priorities but lacks concentration knows what to do but never gets it done. So let's talk about that for a second. You've put out what you need to get done for the day, right? You've said, okay, here's X, Y, and Z. Here's what we need to get done. Here's what's on the plan of the day. And if everybody just goes around and nobody's focused and no one's concentrating and there's no leadership to draw somebody else back in, then how do you know that that accountability process is taking place? How do you know that that work is getting done? So that is staying focused and concentrated, right? Because if you're only putting your priorities out there, hey, we need to get this, this, and this done. Hey, 3, 2, 1, break. And nobody ever follows up and nobody ever says, hey, how's it going? What's the process? How far along are you? And continue to train that person or that team if there's a deficiency, and then continue to help everybody level up. So it says, if you have concentration but no priorities, he has excellence without progress. Excellence without progress. That means we're doing something great, but it's not getting any better. It's not moving forward. It's not building upon itself. Like, where we're at is going well. We've got our focus and we've got our concentration, but we're not really getting anything done because there's no priority. So which one are you? Are you a leader with priorities and no concentration? Or are you a leader with concentration with no priorities? Are you both of them? Right? Do you have both priorities and concentration? Because those are the best leaders, the leaders that can put those two things together. I know what my priorities are, and I'm focused and concentrate on them because I've got built teams. I'm delegating those priorities to the organizational leaders within my team, and then I'm going to continue training. I'm going to continue follow through and follow up, and then I'm going to make sure that the job gets done. And if there's any deficiencies, then I'm going to handle them accordingly. And I'm going to document positive counseling. Hey, man, this was great. You did a wonderful job. I was very impressed with the job you did here. I'm going to document reinforcement counseling. Hey, look, you struggled here a little bit, but this is how I think we can improve, not only in what you're doing, but how we can improve as a team so that everybody rises. And when you have both of those things with concentration and priorities, then you can focus on what needs to get done because you're delegating your priorities to the people that can concentrate on what you can come around and focus and concentrate on building your team, working on building that culture, that positive structure within your team, your family, and your community. It goes on to say, I frequently meet people in leadership positions who seem to be major in minor things. Wow. Think about that for a second. I frequently meet people in leadership positions who seem to major in minor things. So you're the leader, and it's kind of that puffing your chest mentality of, I know this and I know that, and really, how much could you level up that scale if you had a little bit of humility and you had your priorities in check and you had your focus and concentration in check? Right? So the important question is, how should you focus your time and energy? Now, for me, right, I list my priorities of the day. I talk to my teams. I talk to my PGF team. I talk to my capital team. I talk to my family team. I talk to the teams that we're running every single day. And, how I get them to focus is what's most important. Let's talk about softball, right? So in one business, right, the priority leading up as the priorities come, they change. A year out, it's what fields can we get, right? What fields are available what weekend? Who is running in the state that weekend? Is there anybody we're going up against? Do we have enough fields? Do we have enough umpires? Do we have enough ability to be able to put on the event that we want to put on? What's the format? How many people do we need? Do we need site directors? Do we have all the logistical things, right? And then on the capital side, it is, focusing time and energy on building that team. That's a completely new business, right? They're going through that storming, forming, norming phase. We're now just coming out of the forming phase into the normalizing phase, and the team is focused on raising quality, keeping everything where it needs to be. And now we're going to branch out, and our priority is leading our team to catering contracts and big corporations and, getting the word out that we handle all kinds of things. And we talk about this every single day. This Thursday, we've got a meeting about marketing and first quarter marketing and what our priorities are. So we have to lay those out and then focus and concentrate on getting them done through follow-up and accountability. We used to call it in the Navy, right? I can remember back in Navy recruiting, we call it a DPR, a daily production review, right? You had your POD, your plan of the day, right? And then your DPR is an analogy for everything. DPR, your daily production review. So your plan of the day, not the document, but you're sitting at your maintenance meeting or you're sitting at your morning meeting in the office, and it's, okay, what do we need to do? What are our goals for the day? Where are we going to go? What are our target market centers? How do we attack them? And what exactly do we need to achieve the mission this month? And, so you take that, and then at the end of the day is that accountability process. The leader had to sit down with you and say, hey, today you were on the hook for XYZ. What did you get done? Well, I was able to achieve this, and this, but I came short of this. Okay, well, I need you to make that up tomorrow. And if you went 2 days and 3 days and 4 days without missing those goals, now we have to figure out why, right? What is the reason that we're missing those goals? What are the priorities for you right now that you're going out there? How is your plan? What does your plan look like? How many stops are you making? How many people are you talking to? How many phone calls are you making? Are you, following up with leads? Are you following up with referrals? Like, what is the process in order to be able to get where you need to be? So there you go. How do you focus your time and energy? Systems, goals, and processes, right? So what is the goal? What is the daily goal for the day? And here's our systems in place. We're going to write it down. We're going to talk. We're going to execute that plan. We're going to have attainable goals in place. And then we're going to follow up. We're going to DPR. We're going to do that accountability process, that production review. And that's going to allow you to focus your time and energy in the right place and really be able to analyze your priorities. Effective leaders who reach their potential spend more time focusing on what they do well than what they do wrong, right? Delegation is the key, man. Look, you're not great at everything. You're great at some things, and other things you have to find people that are great at those things, right? And then you build that team. And true leaders will be able to conduct an orchestra of people who can facilitate their weaknesses while they, the leader, facilitate the weaknesses of the people that they lead, right? So that team of delegation then gets the job done in a timely manner and builds effective focus, concentration, and knocks those priorities out. To be successful, focus on your strengths and develop them. That's where you should pour your time, energy, and resources, right? I mean, that's a funny point. Work on your strengths, but I'm already strong in that area. I'm already good at that. I was talking to a person the other day at one of our workouts, and they're in sales, and I said to him, so tell me about some of your objections. Tell me about the things that you sell. Tell me about the things that you are having a difficult time with. And, we talked about that, and we worked through those objections, and I said, okay, when's the last time you physically went to a sales class? When's the last time you refreshed yourself? When's the last time you changed out the hard drive? Because look, man, I'm looking at this camera here and talking to you on a newer computer. Well, if I pull this same camera up on my old computer, I'm fuzzy and blurry, and the technology just in a few years has increased. So if you're in sales, I told him, like, go do a class, read a book, self-help, right? Get in sales, work on objections, get on YouTube, do those things. Stay focused on your priorities and your strengths and your weaknesses. And, weaknesses will get developed over time. Work on them for sure. But your strengths, that's where you make your ticket. That's where you pay, the piper. That's where you get all of your information, and that's where you get your life, right? So continue to build on your strengths so you can continue to build your program. You can continue to build your team. It finishes up by saying growth equals change. Man, ain't that true? Growth equals change. If you're growing, you can't help but change. You can't help it. Think about when you're a little itty bitty toddler, right? You're growing. We use the word in the sense of growing. You're getting bigger. You're changing. You're going through all these life changes, Timmy. Right. You're growing. So as you grow as a leader, that should equal change. As you grow as a worker, that should equal change. As you grow as a father, that should equal change. Man, I can whip up anything fatherhood now. I'm still learning every day, but I'm a lot more prepared for it now than I was 21 years ago because I've grown, I've learned, I've had experience, I've been through it. If you want to get better, you have to keep changing and improving. Man, like that says it all, doesn't it? It says it all. If you want to keep changing, you have to keep growing and improving, right? If you want to keep changing, you have to keep growing and improving. So do you want to change? Is it your goal to get better? Is it your goal to be a better father, a better mother, a better daughter, a better son? Is it your goal to be a better leader, a better employer? Is it your goal to level up your personal accountability? Is it your goal to level up your finances? Is it your goal to level up your body? Is it your goal to level up your mind, your attitude, your kindness, your presence in the world? Is that what you're shooting for? Well, that takes focus. It takes priorities. It takes everything. It takes you wanting to get better so that you can keep changing and improving. And that's got to be second to none. I talked with another young person the other day, and, this person tells me, I'm trying to build a business. I'm trying to build this business, plus I'm building this business, plus I need family time, plus I need, personal time, plus I need sports time, okay. Well, what are your priorities? Because it doesn't sound like you're focused much, so we broke down 168 hours in a week. Man, I call you and I challenge you to break down your hours, 168 hours in a week. How do you use those 168 hours, right? I really started thinking about these 168 hours when I started 60 for me, because it's 60 minutes a day for you to be able to work out, read, make a YouTube video, study, go to school, hang out with personal time, hang out with me, hang out with Bill Hoops, and get 60 minutes a day for me to get better. And that's 4% of my day. 4% of my day for me to be able to prioritize and focus on me. Listen to what it says. In order to be a leader, you have to prioritize and focus. In order to be a leader, you have to prioritize and focus, right? But we translate that every single day to prioritize and focus on everybody else. I challenge you to focus on you. I challenge you to focus on you. I challenge you to make you a priority. I challenge you to dig deep this year and move positive in the right direction. I want you to stand up for yourself, right? Because that 60 minutes a day is going to allow all of these priorities you have, and it's going to increase your focus. It's going to increase your attention. It's going to increase your aptitude, your latitude, your longitude, and you're going to be able to go anywhere you want to any degree or pinpoint in the world. So that's my challenge, right? That's my call out to you, to focus on yourself 60 minutes a day as a leader. Put your priorities in place. Focus on what you need to focus on, right? It goes on to say, that means stepping into new areas. If you dedicate time to new things related to areas of strength, then you will grow as a leader. Do not forget, in leadership, if you're through growing, you're through. And man, how true is that, man? I can go back to November of 2022 when I opened my restaurant, right? I don't want to say I had it figured out, but I thought I had it figured out. Okay, this isn't going to be that hard, you know? It was. It's been a very crazy year. It was very fun, right? It was fun because it was a challenge. You know, my brother tells me I like to live in the chaos of multiple things. And that's true. It was a challenge. I need to be physically challenged and mentally challenged in my life in order to feel like the pace is moving, right? So, you know, it's related to strength. Don't forget, in leadership, if you're through growing, you're through. So, you know, I had a choice over the last year. So I talked to more restaurateurs. I found some mentors. I got into more things. I did more things in the restaurant world. I spent a lot of time in there. I had to bring staff in and out in order to be able to find and build the right team. It was that storming, forming, norming phase for a year. You know? So we're going to finish up. Nobody can entirely avoid working in areas of weakness. The key is to minimize it as much as possible, and leaders can do this by delegating. I touched on that before, right? You cannot avoid, nobody can entirely avoid working in the areas of weakness, right? For me, it's being reactive. For me, it's not reading as much. But look, here I am. I just read the whole page. I'm going through it. I'm talking about it. I've got notes. I'm working on that for me. You know, for you, maybe it's public speaking. Maybe it's getting out. Maybe it's talking to somebody. Maybe it's breaking out of that shell. Maybe it's, you know, conquering a fear, riding a roller coaster. I don't know. Whatever your thing is in order to get you rolling, right? Whatever your weakness is, whatever your fear is, whatever your... attack it, right? Because you do have to work on weakness as well while staying focused on the priorities. For example, I delegate detail work to others. A team of people handles all logistics in my conferences. That way, when I'm there, I can stick to the things I do best. Can't help that. That's real in live, man. We're not even going to edit that. I'm just going to leave it on. Had to sneeze. So don't forget, that way when I'm here, I stick to the things that I do best, such as actual speaking, right? So think about that, right? When this last year, my leadership's, situation has been building a team, going into a restaurant and making that team effective. And now that process is continuing, but it's a lot easier because I understand it better. I know the business better, and my employees understand my expectation. I have clear-cut expectation. I have clear-cut things that need to be done. We have multiple checklists and tons of technology in there to be able to facilitate a comfortable culture that allows people to thrive and survive, and allows me to be able to allow them to have some responsibility and leadership of their own. Because ultimately, our task as leaders is to build other leaders, right? You're not going to be here forever. You're not going to be able to run your company forever. You're not going to be there, to be able to be there for your family forever. So you have to be able to teach things, and you have to be able to let responsibility go and allow other people to fail and grow and fail and grow and fail and grow just like you are, just like I have, right? I mean, I fail and grow just like you every single day, right? I've had some successes in my life, but I've had my fair share of starts and stops and ups and downs and ins and outs, and I'm gonna show you all you things what it's all about. We've had all those, and we will continue to have them. I'm going through something now in my family life that is life changing. It's altering. It's different every day. But we're learning, we're adapting, we're figuring out what our priorities are so that we can stay focused on them. Set your priorities and focus on your strengths today, right? So as I wrap this up, trying to keep these under 30 minutes, right, per page. As I wrap these up, I want you to do just that. Set your priorities and focus on your strengths today. What are you great at? What are you good at? If you're in a crowd of 10,000 people, there's things that you do better than everybody in that crowd. So what are you good at? What makes you you? What makes you great? Focus on that, right? Set your priorities. What do I want for my work, right? I want to be at the next level. Maybe you're in sales. I want to sell 25% more this year. Maybe you're in construction. I want to build I don't know. I want to lose 50 pounds. I want to graduate college. I want to start college. Whatever your priorities are, whatever your mission is for the day, set your priorities, stay focused on them, have a goals process, and then an accountability process to be able to make sure that you're achieving those things. Not everybody can be self-accountable, right? I set 50 million alarms a day in order to make sure I get where I need to be. I have accountability partners that gently nudge me. Hey, man, you still going to the gym? Hey, I ain't talked to you in a while. Hey, bud, everything okay? You said you wanted to do this. How's that going for you? You have to, right? Set yourself reminders, notes, tell your, whatever it is you got to do to make sure that your priorities get your focus and attention so that you can continue to level up, not only you, but those around you. And that's what it's all about, man. So I challenge you, today's January 9th, over the next 30, 60, 90 days, set your priorities. Set your priorities and figure out, what am I going to focus on, right? Get you a book, get you a journal, get you a pad, get you something that you can write in, that you can take notes every single day, right? And figure out what it is that your priorities are. And then hold yourself accountable to a process of staying focused and getting them done. And that priority, one of the main priorities for you, needs to be you. I challenge you, it's the 9th of January, right? I'm calling you out. What are you going to do in the next 90 days to level yourself up? How are you going to lead yourself? How are you going to focus on yourself? How are you going to make yourself a priority? Is it reading? Is it writing? Is it in the gym? Is it in a class? Is it going back to school? Is it taking a training seminar? Is it getting on YouTube? Is it calling somebody you haven't talked to in a while? Playing basketball with your kids? What is it you're going to do in the next 90 days to level up, man? Right? Let's talk about it. Let's communicate, right? If you're trying to figure it out, maybe you don't know. 704-807-5663, akhoops@gmail.com. Website's coming soon, right? We're getting ready to start really rolling this thing out. So that's my time. That's what's on my mind. That's 30 minutes of fun, getting it done. January 9th, the power of focusing. We're going to continue this series because, quite frankly, I'm having a lot of fun doing it. It's a great little guide for me to be able to talk, read, take notes, write, and really just have a good time. So if you enjoyed it, man, I appreciate you being here. Like it, share it, drop it in the comments, subscribe to my page. If you made it this far, you must like the guy, or you just scrolled through to figure out what I was going to say at the end. So like it, share it, smack it, flip it, rub it down, do whatever you want to do with it. But you never know who might need what you're getting right now. Maybe it's not you, right? Maybe this message is moving you. Maybe it's not moving you. Maybe you share it, you give it to somebody else. Maybe it's what they need, right? Every day somebody needs something. You never know what somebody's going through. So make it a priority today to focus on being kind, taking care of others, taking care of yourself, and just getting it done. So my name's Bill Hoops. You can follow at YouTube is 1221 Media on TikTok, and Instagram is Hoops1221, and on Facebook it's just William Hoops. So we appreciate you. We look forward to working with you, seeing you, and continuing to put these messages out. I hope you have a great, great night. We'll talk to you soon.